Hey guys, it's Matt Mahoney here with Alchemy. What we want to talk about today is archiving. So you think about the document archives that are out there. Usually they're big in financial services, in healthcare, in the legal industry, in mortgages, lots of paper generated in mortgage. And when you think about storing these documents, the different types of systems that exist, and the reason there are different systems is because of the way people want to organize the content, right? If you're in the mortgage business, you're organizing in a package of different types of documents, and it's sort of like a folder, and you want to retrieve that folder and look through all the different documents. And of course, you want to be able to search between folders and search within a folder and that kind of thing. In the financial services world, or things like bank statements, we'll say, then that's a different kind of thing, right? There's not like a folder of a bunch of different documents for a specific event like buying a house. It's a monthly statement, it's printed every month, and you want to search those things in a little bit different way. You're searching by account number, you're looking for a specific document for a certain date, and then your use of that is a little bit different, right? You might be viewing that bank statement online, or if it's a credit card statement, then you want to pay it, then you're going to be executing a payment process, which is very different from search and retrieval in a mortgage application. So there are different systems that serve these purposes. They're not all created equal, and the content that's stored in them, the way they index and organize the data, the UIs, the user interfaces on them can be different, all because of the different business application or the way that consumers or business people access that content. At Alchemy, what we focus on is the transaction space. And so you're going to see in the Alchemy system an archive that supports a lot of different use cases in transactional processing. Now, usually we're thinking about archiving for business to consumer, right? So, for example, a government might want to present documents to the citizens of the state through the .gov website, and when you log in there, you authenticate yourself, and in some back-end process, there's a repository that's hooked into the .gov website. You can retrieve your documents. You can't see anybody else's documents, only yours. And that's what's called typically like a cold storage system. That's the old name for it. Although today, in a multi-channel world, you're not just storing documents that would be printed, you're storing other things, like emails need to be archived for evidence. Maybe the attachments that were on those emails. SMS messages might need to be archived. There's a lot of digital content today that is generated that is important to be saving in a repository for a long period of time, either for evidence or for use cases where you might want to do marketing or some other communication is triggered from past communications. So, in multi-channel, it can get complex and intricate between the different channels, and the archive can play an important role in creating new content based on what has happened in the past. So I'll talk about the Alchemy Archive for a minute. It's central to transactional processing because once you come out of document composition with something that's personalized, like a document of some sort, an insurance EOB or whatever, then you put that in the archive so that people can start to do other things with it before it's actually distributed. For example, you might want to do proofing. So you log into the system, it's already in the archive, it came out of document composition, it's stored there, typically as a PDF, it doesn't have to be that, but that's typical. And then the dashboard tells you your job is ready to be proofed, you check it out, maybe you're going to remove some content, maybe some people have paid their bill already and you don't want to mail them a reminder, so it's pretty common to have a pull list or to have somebody go in and look through the job to remove the 10 or 15 pieces that we don't want to mail with this job. That happens in part because of the archive. So it's part of the operational workflow that archive is there for proofing. You may want to use it a little further downstream after printing, where you want to create reprints. Instead of going all the way back up to IT or the composition process, with the danger of maybe not composing it exactly the way it was originally, then you go to this archive, which has a 100% rendition of the printed piece. You pull out the pieces that you need, and it can be automated, or somebody could go in manually and search for those. and create a new reprint job, that goes to the print, and now you've finished that loop to complete the job. Again, the archive is central to that process. The same exact documents you used for reprinting in the archive can be delivered through the electronic channels. I used the online example before. So maybe online banking. When you log in, that repository that was used for printing, reprinting, proofing is also the same one that serves the documents to the website. So we know that they're the same pieces, they look exactly like they're supposed to. There's no extra composition going on, either on the fly. In the old days, you had these AFP archives, and then you would convert on the fly, maybe to PDF. And there's danger in any time that you would recompose, either from an archive on the fly for delivery, or by composition processes to do that in a reprint, for example. So the Alchemy Archive is used for that. It's also the point where you can use for attaching to emails, or if somebody clicks an SMS message and it takes them to a site to view a page, then this repository is a multi-purpose single storage location. Now when I say single storage, that doesn't mean you can't have multiple storage repositories, because you can. The very flexible tool, multi-tenant model, where you can say, if you're a service bureau, I want my archive for this customer stored here and for this customer stored there, because I want to have them physically separated. Maybe they compete with each other. So they can go tell their customers, we keep your data and your documents physically separated, even though we have one system that we're using as the archive. And in these kinds of things, you're looking for hierarchical storage, so the documents that are accessed all the time are in the fast storage, and then the stuff that's been around for a year or two, you can move that off to slower storage. So there's ways to manage the storage for cost savings. Also to make sure that you can store a whole big batch job as one PDF, instead of chopping it up into each document having its own PDF container. You can do that too in Alchemy, but it uses more storage, that technique. So it's nice to be able to just package it all up as the batch was printed. You store that batch and you pluck out pieces when people request those documents. Other things you look for are the security. You want encryption at the repository level, encryption in the database, the SQL database in Alchemy. You want permissions for people to log into the system. You want tokenization and multi-factor authentication for different deployment models for security. And you want things like retention periods on documents. So there's a lot of bells and whistles, things that you want for very tight, fast, secure delivery of content, data, and documents to people who need it. All of this is usually done these days through a browser, and it's not just documents, it's all the content, the communications that you might want to archive in a multi-channel delivery world. So these are the things that we're working on at Alchemy to expand capabilities of today's archiving systems, including our own archive, and meeting the different needs that exist out there. Primarily in the transaction space, marketers don't need it as much, although they do have some cases for it where we might want evidence of what's been produced over time, or maybe you just want to have a record of it and go back to it someday and do that campaign again, for example. You might want to just pull that job out from the old archive and take a look at what you did. So those are some things we're working on. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to our YouTube channel. We post a lot of things on social media. Pretty much every day we're posting on social media. Follow us. You can go to alchemy.com and send us an email. There's lots of content there as well. We're posting podcasts there. So a lot of information is available to you in different ways, including this video right here. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you soon.